Welcome back to part 2. In our last episode, our guest shared why so many good moms feel anxious and overwhelmed. Today, she's giving us tools that you can actually do when you're at your breaking point. If you've been waiting for permission to take care of your own mental health, this is it. Stay tuned. Welcome to Fulfillment Therapy. I'm Kendra Nielsen, wife, mom, and licensed therapist. Do you ever feel like you're doing everything right, but you're still exhausted and empty? Did you think life, marriage, and parenting would be simpler and more rewarding? Sometimes you just want to crawl back into bed and lose yourself in screen time and chocolate, rather than face that personal or family stress. You are not alone. This podcast helps you break free of the rat race and build a richer, more meaningful life, flourishing incrementally and realistically, improving your mental health and wellness, and living with deeper purpose beyond the mundane, no matter where you are in life's journey.
I was not getting those breaks, those mental breaks to just decompose and let my system relax. And when you do that, it will come more often and you'll be able to stay calmer for longer periods of time. And all of a sudden, within a year, you're not being triggered so much by things around you. And things happen all the time because motherhood is so unpredictable and things change constantly. And what you thought would happen doesn't really happen the way you thought it would. And I realized it very early with my first delivery that, oh my God, it doesn't really matter what I want. It's going to go the way it goes. And I have to deal with it. And I didn't know how. And I think that was the big gap I had is it doesn't really matter how things go. You need to be able to control yourself, go back to that space of calmness. And usually when you are actually quite calm, you find the solutions faster.
I've definitely seen that myself and with clients too. I love how you talked about being triggered, for example. And that's something that I tell my clients all the time. They're like, I don't necessarily see progress. One thing to focus on is those triggers. Like, do you notice over time that you're less reactive? Things that would have bothered you before suddenly don't as much. And you are having more self-compassion, letting go whereas before you may not have. If you start to look back on those times that you're doing that less and less, that's when you really start to see the progress. Like sometimes it's steady or slow or not so obvious. Sometimes it's very obvious, but sometimes you don't recognize that. Maybe you don't have that level of self-awareness, but maybe it's a loved one that will tell you, or just kids responding differently. There are definitely times that it's big, but not always. And it helps to hear some of those examples from you. And I know for me, even personally, I'm a very visual person. So when I go inward, when I close my eyes, when I start to visualize some of these things, do some of these exercises, it helps me so much more, just like you said, than say traditional talk therapy, yes, where I can talk and talk and talk, but until I really visualize it myself and also have it be more, I guess, client-led, or I start to go where I intuitively feel like I need to go, even if there's some prompts and things like that, it heals a lot faster than just talking about it. Do you have any other examples maybe of clients that have reported to you as they've used the app, or some of these suggestions that you've had, success stories for them, especially in parenting?
One of our biggest one was a mom of about 5 kids, and she was struggling with connecting with them because there was so much chaos in the house. And when she started doing her session, she started noticing very quickly how she's able to now do bedtime with each one and actually be successful in giving them the attention they needed because now she had the space. And she was so amazed. She sent us so many messages and she said, when you heal the moms, you heal the world. And she was super correct because the state that we are in can affect the next generations. And I feel like moms struggle a lot with behaviors that happened to them as kids. And I noticed it about myself. I was getting triggered by my sibling rivalry because I had an older sister that was constantly bullying me. So when my children started fighting like that, I would get very defensive. I would get very flooded very fast, and I wouldn't know how to handle it. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Why am I so full of like anger right now? And it's because of my upbringing. So in my book, actually, I go through the steps you just mentioned. Awareness, pausing, and then nervous system regulation. There are about 7 steps. And I wrote the book because I was processing how I got here. What happened in my life that led me to this new motherhood experience? And I realized that a lot of the times it starts long time ago. So you have to really think about, why am I being triggered right now by my child's behavior? If they talk back and you are not allowed to talk back, then you're being triggered by that. So I think that our upbringing is very important for your current motherhood story. And I think if every mom paused right now and thought about the way she behaves throughout the day, when are you being triggered the most? Why is that moment triggering you so much? And once you can pinpoint what exactly happened and why is this happening, then you'll be able to find a session that helps you with that specific trigger and overcome it. So a lot of moms struggle with positive self-talk, and then they see their kids start doing it and they get so upset. Like, why is my child doing that? And they don't even realize every day they do it in front of their kids. So you have to really be aware of communication. The other thing is, how you speak to them is how they will be. If you tell your child you're always misbehaving, guess what? The child will probably misbehave today or tomorrow, because that's what they know. If you want to reinforce a different behavior in your child, start talking about the result you want to have. You are behaving so nicely today. You are going to go to bed tonight and fall asleep and have an amazing night. Instead of telling a child, oh, never slept. You never slept as a baby. You don't sleep now. And guess what? You're reinforcing it. So the way you communicate to your child is very important. So a lot of the moms that come to us, they share a lot of yelling because they grew up in houses where there was a lot of yelling. Also, we have sessions for overcoming generational cycles of anger and grabbing. A lot of moms are still fighting that, and they don't want to spank their children, but sometimes they get caught up in it because that's what they know. It comes back when you're a mother, and motherhood challenges us so much that it's very easy to fall back into those patterns. I think moms also need to know, today's the new day. You can have a fresh new start beginning of today. You can change the ways you are mothering your children today. Don't go back too far. If something happened yesterday, apologize, communicate, share something. And you mentioned communications. I think it's very important to tell your children, your behavior right now is flooding me, it's causing me stress, it's making me angry. You can do it in a very peaceful way. You don't have to start screaming at them. They will listen. They listen better than us sometimes. And I see it with my own kids. When I communicate with them, the way you're speaking to me so fast right now and with such urgency, I can't think. My mind shuts down. When you're calm, come back and share with me what you would like to do, and I'll be able to actually provide an answer. But when I'm flying like this, I can't think. They don't realize they do it. Mm-hmm. Your toddler is, having a tantrum. And if you join that tantrum and start losing it, it's going to be very hard to come out of it. You have to figure out what works with your toddler. Is it hugging them at that moment and start to do deep breathing? Their nervous system will join you right away. Or is it talking to them, and if they are misbehaving, maybe just sitting there with them. Maybe you don't have to say anything. So you have to try different things and see what works better, and definitely work on your own triggers, because I really don't like it when parents say, my child is horrible. They're triggering me all the time. It's unfortunate, but if you're being triggered like this, it is your responsibility to figure out a way not to be triggered like that. It's not the child. And it's really, really hard sometimes. But I do know that when I get flooded and I lose my cool, it's because I lost it. So we have to find a way to avoid it. And once in a while, it happens to me as well. And I've been doing very well, not losing it, but once in a while, it does happen. So I do communicate with the child and I do explain, listen, a lot of things happened today. I reached a limit. When you did what you did, I snapped at you and I'm really sorry about it. I shouldn't have done that, but I did. So I want to tell you, I love you very much. You didn't deserve that much yelling, but please, you have to work on not doing that specific thing that I already asked. So communication is very, very important.
I just want to reiterate some of those things that you said that I very much appreciated. You talked about the historical part. I talk to this with my clients all the time about getting curious. There's a quote that I've shared on the podcast before by Mark Graves. It says, when you get reactive, get curious. You have a wound that is waiting to be healed. There's so much that's our side of the street, not as this guilt or shame thing, but like, okay, what can I do as the CEO of the home here? Often, not always, but where you can change that atmosphere and take some more ownership. Okay, there's course corrections I can make here. There's decisions that I can make that will change this environment in small ways, in big ways. It just depends on how much time you're devoting to that. Getting curious and exploring why you're getting flooded. And then I also appreciate how you talked about the results that you want. That's tied to so many different things, but that can help shift just how you talked about neuroplasticity even. There's all sorts of things in there that are very beneficial. How our brain works. It is like attracting what you want more of instead of focusing on what you don't want, because that will still bring the things that you don't want if you're talking about them. I agree wholeheartedly with these different things that you're saying. And I love that you have tools that people can use right now to try it out, to see what it feels like, and to see if they notice any results. So do you feel like in that free trial that you have, that people can notice enough results to see if it's working for them?
Yes, it's very, very fast. You can start feeling the difference in one session. The cognitive hypnotherapy is modality that is more effective than talk therapy. And researchers already shown that because it's diving into the subconscious mind so fast that you're actually able to experience the difference in just one session. When I say experience the difference, you're not going to change your behavior overnight. It's going to require work and time, but you will notice that shift because we're all walking in chronic fight or flight mode. We don't even know what it feels like to just exhale completely. So in one session, you can completely calm yourself down and come out of session. A lot of moms share that with us. The first session I've done was so relaxing. I haven't felt this in years. This is amazing. Yes, give it a shot and try it. And within one session, you'll know if you're able to come out of this state. Because it's so sad what have become with our modern society that everybody's just so stressed out all the time. It's too much.
Absolutely.
It's affecting us in so many different ways and we don't even know it anymore, right? Because our parents never self-regulated. Our parents never said, hey, you know what? I'm super angry right now. I'm going to take time out for myself and go take a break for 5 minutes. I feel like I'm about to scream so loudly, so I'm going to step outside. So we never received that behavior and we don't know it even exists. We don't even think about it. Oh, that's an option. I can just go pour cold water on my hands and calm down because they're so upsetting me right now. I think that because we didn't learn that skill, it falls on us to learn it so we can teach it to our kids and create a less anxious and stressed out next generation. I think that's very important in today's high speed, high stress society. You can definitely feel the difference, I believe, in one session. Because we got that feedback before.
Yeah, and I can attest to that too. Both giving it, doing it, it is so impactful. And it does have this accelerated result that I haven't seen personally in talk therapy. I completely agree. And I will say that if you're ready, there are people that I've tried to do it with that are not ready and they don't want to go deeper. They don't want to slow down and calm down. But I imagine the people that are interested in this are going to be the ones that seek it because there are times that people are like, no, I don't want to even explore that. Like they're very closed off to that, and it's harder to have progress. I'm not saying they can't have
And
progress.
that's okay. And you can read the book and figure out what the steps are for yourself and process what you need for yourself and overcome things by reading. Or you can do a 2-minute session, because really a 2-minute session doesn't take you deep, but at least it introduces you to the concept. And you shouldn't be scared of hypnotherapy. And the reason why is, when you really think about it, everything that you went through to this day hypnotized you. Whether it's your parents, your school teachers, commercials, social media, it's all hypnosis. And if you want to peel off those layers and really find your true inner space, who are you really are, then you need to do something that dehypnotizes you. And that's exactly what we do. It's actually quite the opposite. You are right now in a state where you assume things about yourself that might not even be true at all. Right? How many moms are listening right now and say, I'm a bad mom, or I wasn't meant to be a mom? So you really should go into the other space of like, how do I get rid of those beliefs?
Yeah, definitely. I love that you give hope to that. And this interview has gone so fast today. There's so many things that I'd like to speak to, but with all of that, so you told us about your app and where we can find that and the sessions that they can do. Is your book available on Amazon and bookstores, or where can they find that?
Yeah, definitely go on Amazon, and it's available on Kindle or print, and it's called the MamaZen Parenting Method. And like I said before, it's a process you'll go through, because the way I wrote it, it can be relatable to anybody. And it just goes through the steps of how I was able to overcome what I did. And it's a fun read. It's very raw, and it's very easy. And if you get interrupted numerous times a day, like I do, then you'll be able to go back, and it's not going to be very complicated to go back into it, because I know we don't have a lot of mental space. So I wrote it in a very simple, direct way. So it's a fun read, just to be able to think about things a little bit deeper, your intention, and what kind of parent do you want to be, because we never really think about that before we become parents. And I think it's important to learn how to co-regulate. There's a whole chapter about co-regulation, because it's such an important skill and people don't really understand how it works. So there's a chapter about that. There's a chapter about mindfulness and why it's important and how it's not something that's unreachable. Mindfulness is actually very accessible to all of us. You don't have to be a monk in Tibet to be mindful. So I explain a lot of things in the book. So if people are not interested in trying sessions on the app, just get the book and see how far you and how deep you can go.
Okay. Definitely excited to check those things out. And also, in closing, I love to ask guests, can you share different ways that you've increased fulfillment lately? Because that's what this podcast is all about, helping us improve our mental health and wellness, especially as parents. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I added some spirituality into my life lately in the past year. And the reason why I feel like there's energy all around us, and I wanted to tap more into that and my intuition and try to explore more of how do I make my day better. And it was actually quite helpful, because I was able to step away from that pressure of doing everything and just constantly being on the go, because as being a CEO and a mom and a wife, there's just so much going on, and just back off from those things, because I'm able to keep myself more of things will fall in place. Things will get done. Yeah. And things will be positive, because I'm just tapping into that energy of how the world just keeps on spinning. Life goes. Trusting, I guess, more about trust. That's what it helped me with. Spirituality helped me to just trust the process.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful place to end. Trust the process.
Yes.
And today is a new day. I love how you said that too. That's something that we can always focus on. You can find her book on Amazon. We'll put all of the links in the show notes too, so you can find her there as well. It was such a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you for coming and speaking to something that resonates with all of us. Like, I haven't yet met a parent that was like, oh, I've got this covered. I don't have any triggers. I'm not flooded. I've got this. Haven't met that yet.
We all go through the same experience, and thank you for talking about it. I think that we helped a lot of moms realize you're not alone in this. We're all going through it together, in different stages, different levels, but we're all sharing this. So I'm glad we were able to talk about that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Hey friends, if you enjoyed this episode, a quick 30-second share can help someone else find support and help this podcast grow. Leaving a review on Apple Podcasts boosts visibility and keeps the show alive. Your simple acts make a big difference. I'll see you back here each week for more life-changing episodes.